match up this life's work with a little more aid in the fight hurt to keep me here a little longer, just a little stronger. Keep me a ponder, a dream, and praying mother stop burying the babies in the dirt. How life work, no longer mysticized when I lift my eyes. This is how the strife hurt. When I'm confined to a mind that only believes in false hope, strained through a sea of lies down the drain where the soul lurks. Couldn't believe my eyes here searching, broken. How could I deny what you've stolen, cheating? Only leaves me peace in the breakdowns mentally. Single mother raised 4, 2 sons, 2 daughters, and a second daughter only meant to be another single mother. She raised 4, and only princess knew that she gon' add to the score. It's a team effort, right? As the cycle repeats, my socio-political economic defeat sweep me right from under my feet. Short days, long nights, cold hungry in the streets. Brothers and sisters from another mister. Still I'm left alone to defend my demons. Still left to own this life from the egg and semen. Make dirty wrongs clean, right? Friends turn enemies, loved ones memories fade. No pretty picture. Watch the vibration raise on the Richter. I stand motionless, emotionless, desensitize me until you motion this voice for underprivileged. Those getting this years after I wrote it. Take back no talk when I fall back to reconnect with the rodents. Back when life was good, oblivious to this axis that balanced this beam to this dream full of actors. I only wanna wake up realer than the night I fell asleep in. Make my story seeping from thought processes to the news bulletin. This is more than public outcries of devastation. This is more than the extreme of extremes living in one nation. This is more than the poverty, the fornication by the adulterers who break me then escape me before I call for help. See, I called your name when I stood by myself in silence. The silence that shrouded me, clouded me, strapped trying to get ahead, strapped for the bread. I cried for help with pockets picked and 5-figure discounts to live like I was free. Free like fear never lived here. Till my house burned down, I never kissed fear. Still I drip tears, spare me pity. No care for the ones who didn't see me waiting in jail cells. Denied any chance to a bail in my city where I'm designed to follow, fall, fail. Already getting debt letters in the mail for the bird fly from the nest to set sail. I only wonder where my hoop dreams would have took me before I gave up the bite for the cookie. I wonder how it would be if my mom looked me in my eyes and really taught me how a woman should be. And never abandoned by my dad who was supposed to be the man. Maybe my baby dad would be where he could be. Still I'm here. But I'm still here. Just call me what you want. My vision's clear, so call it what you want, but I feel I'm the perfect example of what a woman should be. Just look me in my eye. Tell me how I would be, could be, should be before I die.
Apocalypse now. Yeah. Real. This is we. And GCP inspired me for real. Yo. Tick, 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 booyah. With this writ, get flipped straight to no more crawling, no more screw up. Who was the amnesty of aid? Now me, I'm mine. God of my chest, I'm Lord of the mind. Our government stand with the spine up 100 men. At the front line, stand 90 degrees. No fear for machine, man is supreme. We come again. You on your knees, that I recommend that things be revealed. Don't shy at the end, cause we got no beginning but the womb, and she not from here, baby. Check the moon or the tomb or the sun. How about all of the above? Tick, 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 booyah. It's time for we, booyah. Here I descend from a prodigy to other me's, cause of them now I gotta be solidly. And I represent right, moving left. Fool everybody but the Moors, cause we made you. Son, I'm a store too. Quarter the L, right? Length with height. Home is the base, reach safe, bring your light. Runway the night, drew circle the 7. Don't know better, start soon. Can't keep it real when your life in the cartoon. Everything came free, but nigga, it'll cost you. Skate with your nation and stay stateless. 14th Amendment, pointless to argue. Time ticks down, you're getting mistreated. Fully mistreated, though steady, just breathing, not grown. Just leeching what's on with up rules. Wake up, tick, 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 booyah. With this Rick, get flipped straight to up. No more crawling, no more screw up. Who what? Amnesty of age.
Backing up frauds with cards national. In Northwest, some Ottawa's not my capital. Fez like a Merlin hat, I stay magical. Stand on your birthright square, they label you radical. Flow like libations, every day it's sabbatical. I self-law and master science mathematical. It's tragical, dramatical. This Moorish Othello, I rather black on black, I don't do black and yellow. Compass and square, fair trap, Masonic fellows and matrons. Slew them not just sodomites and pagans. Most maroons need to stop saying Jamaican and calling Euros American, they are Caucasian.
Me, I'm a 9. Let's try to make a 7 here. Try to make a heaven here. Living in the devil's lair. Freedom is a mental clear. Color is a spectrum. Don't you see through spares? Tell them mine is a bridget program over there. In the spell with the magi. Medium. Playing good, but they really the bad guys. Feeling them. I'm reeling them. Cause I'm Moorish American. This is our land. And that's what we're inheriting. Tick, tick. Tick, booyah, with this red get flipped straight to up. No more pros, no more screw ups. Who was? Yo. Yeah, it's me, Mr. L. Mr. Bro. Lord, raw, down out. Apocalypse now. Watch the time tick, tick. Then tick, booyah.
You can keep watching your hair getting thinner and thinner. You can keep looking out for those embarrassing bald spots that you try.
It's always going to get you in. What? What? I'm rocking. Who says we ain't in the building? Who says we ain't into building? We the Moorish master masons, architects for your children, rapping Friday 13th like Jason without the killing. But we promote life, oh it's all about the feeling. And we invoke light, yo, we them light beings. Though you might see him on the block getting his portion, might be talking to cops, giving them caution. What? What? I'm rocking. Who says we ain't in the building? Who says we ain't into building? We the Moorish master masons, architects for your children, rapping Friday 13th like Jason without the killing. But we promote life, oh it's all about the feeling. And we invoke light, yo, we them light beings. Though you might see him on the block getting his portion, might be talking to cops, giving them caution. Occasionally wearing his fez when he's walking, see the turning heads, whispering gawking. But he's locked in, and he's zoned out, while we boxed in our own house.
We study the mystics, the adepts, the magi. Wisdom of the ancients can uncalcify eyes. Possible mission, free mental numbness. Extract the substance with minds of dumbness. Use the source, don't care what some purport. As we don't by being told man knows not. Many before the floor, souls got bought. Placed in the devil's hands, ruling the 7 lands. To dogma rituals, negro spirituals. Brainwash subliminal, keeps thinking to a minimal. They still criminal, in a world digital so pitiful. Mental survival so critical, it's visible. Can you see past writers' blocks? Hashtag zombies with waves of cyber thoughts. No need for cell phones, they speak through saw palms. It's nothing for alarm, chips and forearms.
Wind, brass and bass, such a beautiful serenade. Women feeding me grapes, I'm feeding the enemy's serenades. Whether the sky is clear or gray, rain when you hear a fake, giving life to seed. Speaking through who not here today. Show you the future in a glimpse. You can always look to these hoes like hallucinatory pimps. Sun walked the desert, been more of a since I found God. Look back, used to see his prince. Forget being a prince, I'm a G. OD, grown man, no jokey. Deny it, you don't know me. Don't make me tap into the old me. That's like a couple hundred years. Walk around town with a couple hundred peers and release the peace of up fears. The sun gon' shine, so what tears? This young brother here just trying to get his third eye clear.
Ish, deep, Moors don't sleep. Invest in your mind and body and unleash. Real life rap, spitting over tracks. Conscious thinking and living a dead attack. This deep. Moors don't sleep. Invest in your mind and body and unleash. Real life rap, spitting over tracks. Conscious thinking and living a dead attack.
So as the moon sets, the sun takes its place at schools on blocks, inspired spots, filled spaces. Peel back rats, who got cases. Fire stain the corridors of flammable faces. Game changers, rule benders and no pretenders. Style benders, channel my vibe through the vibrant optic lenses. Send a message to our veterans. Soldiers up and get it in. We on our verge, we emerge subliminal beings. Third eye seeing, still I participate unwilling.
They wanna break me, shake, bake, grade me. Rolling with my name G, double O-M-B. S-O-N is crazy. For a minute that you think you could take me for a fool, like a native to his land, being schooled by a foreign dude. You've mistaken me, spiders on the roof, in the dark tools. I be saying you've mistaken me. You better move or I'll mark it. Power pin is my tongue, your existence to target. Revealing all lies and deceit on the market. Genocide carried out in pockets, I knock it down, bulldozer. David to Goliath, it's an exposure. Some big cats ruling and it's getting closer to your downfall. Round up all your soldiers.
Little homie, I was seeking a fortune, tired of misfortune. I just wanted a portion, everything that I never had, though I needed my portion. Blowing like porcelain, haters fragile as porcelain. Getting broke, tired of being broke. How we acquire hope is the DJ skilling some dope, just to keep us afloat. Mind as deep as a boat, brain is a lethal weapon. We want need to elope. When I speak, I provoke. Walk in the room with my aura feeling like heavy smoke. Feel like when the levee broke under my Louis Philly, the semi-poke. Cause dirty cops and kill your boy, yeah, the joke. The cost of living, higher profits in private prison. These little girls are selling bodies just to pay tuition. These little niggas selling niggas just for bail condition. It's like the slavery never ended, we're the intermission. I wanna free the world, but I'm one man. A couple ones like me and make one plan. I wanna free the world, but I'm one man. A couple ones like me and one plan.
Northgate, H2O Flow, Chic, Canaanland, Moorish, when these fall, Shalon Davis, salute, hot house, check it, they say they wanna learn, they only debate, referencing the truth, trust me, they only sounded great, study nationality before you question my estate, I'm not a minority, why you so late, majority rules, here comes the test, fact, that's my hand in the form of a V on the chest, that's a womb that is blessed like a moon and a crest, major forever, infinite mindset, major from birth, that's a seed in process, I'm a more that is easy to digest, competent, never Terranilius, that is my land, never vacant, sacred traditions, petitions for what you're not Jamaican, no Westmoreland to Portmore, everybody needs more, refuel please more, following the apostle we should read more, I see the unseen more, read more, that's a fact, Canaanland.
They say they wanna learn, complain classes are too long. Don't want it on a phone call, energy too strong. Get it from the wrong source, now they way off course. Think they must be Muslim and give up on all sports. Should give up the red meat, must give up on all porks. Won't be yelling haram when the bottles are uncorked. Eating with the spoon, use forks for tuning. Eating humble pie, no ego ballooning. Samson 2 caterpillars, got him cocooning. As the full moon hung, spiral energy moving. Up through the crown chakra, energy shooting. And told me upload classes before live YouTubing. 16,000 subscribers, 20% consuming. 80% troll pretending to be tuned in. Comment on every video, pushing the thumbs down. We'll push the link when we live just like a clown. Pouring in the incompetence, always debating. Dissing Drew Ali but won't give their location. His image on the black banner, that's placation. Just get him out of here, Yusuf yells in frustration. We know they're playing games, we're not berating. Calling 911, scimitars penetrating. In defense of prophets and mothers abused. And newly awakened Moors, amused and confused.
the name of Agent. And this is a post on Facebook. And I'm just going to... And it says, clearly, this is speaking up to Harker Bay. You scammed the Moorish community out of thousands of dollars to build a Moorish village, who instead sold the building you purchased for $20,000 total profit and pocketed the cash. In 2016, check it out. You get caught up in another felony, second-degree assault, conveniently the same week Moorish World TV was created, and instead of going to prison for 10 years, it gets converted into a misdemeanor with a suspended sentence a few months later. Now, the reason why that's important...
The reason why that's important, because we've been told you that these people sold you out. Years ago, people wanted to do album battles with Iron Sheik. They didn't put out one song. Not one song? Nothing? You're playing games. That's why, because we've been told you, because we've been putting out, matter of fact, we might as well just do it. We might as well just do it.
Common sense was made before book sense. Canaanland Moors presents Common Sense Quick.
Legendary, bury me in the North Gates Cemetery, February the 4th days. Son of Mary, day ahead of my born day. Independence and law makes it a little of a lost case. With case laws, we break them down like Jericho. Keeping all my lions tamed, I'm Chris Jericho. I'll keep a mask on deck, I'm Rey Mysterio. Fake pandemics announced over the radio. Annoyed with the game, the joys and the pains. I'm Rob Bass, mix it with rock the hard way. I was in a lost state. Prophets stood me up right, brought me to a lost gate. Cooking like I'm Sorbet, repping like I'm Denzel. Malcolm X, Deja Vu, Roman J. Israel. Had no but I lay in plain sight, but people still can't see it. So the snake's still showing up, stakes still high, so the rate's still going up. Warriors of the North Gate, we not slowing up. Born in the manger.
Common sense was made before book sense. Canaanland Moors presents Common Sense Quick.
Legendary, bury me in the North Gates Cemetery, February the 4th days. Son of Mary, day ahead of my born day. Independence and law.
You're not even going to get out of it. Go somewhere. You're not even going to get out of it. We told you people. We told you so. We told you so. We told you so. Just make sure it's visible for everybody. Just make sure it's visible. Make sure it's visible for everybody. We told you people. You don't want to hear what Canaanland Moors is saying? Okay, no problem. We told you so. Since you want to play dumb. You scammed the Moorish community out of thousands of dollars to build a Moorish village, but you instead sold the building you purchased for $20,000 in total profit and pocketed the cash. In 2016, you were caught up in another felony, second-degree assault, conveniently the same week Moorish World TV was created, and instead of going to prison for 10 years, it gets converted to a misdemeanor with a suspended sentence a few months later. Now, what's interesting is he's out here right now as an agent to the Moorish community, and true Moors standing up for the Moorish nation are locked up right now. And they don't even have them on camera doing anything illegal. They have him kicking some guy's ass. And he's out here. Same thing we told you. Same thing we told you with Riza Islam, who's NY and all that. Brother Ben X, who's NY and all that. All these honors to Elijah Muhammad people, but they never give honors to Noble Drew Ali. Never. Do you know they never give honors to Noble Drew Ali? You know they always say honors to Elijah Muhammad. They talk about Muhammad, oh, peace be unto him. They talk about whoever else, oh, praise, Hail Marys for them. And Noble Drew Ali, nothing. Matter of fact, you don't even know who Noble Drew Ali is. They didn't even tell you about him. And then the ones who told you about him are these guys. These guys right here. These guys who are starting up Moorish whatever, taking all your finance, pocket the finance, and then you're just walking away as if somebody didn't just rob you. And then you're looking at us like, well, what are you Moors doing for the Moorish whatever? No, we're not giving our finance to dirty Moors, I'll tell you that. We're not doing that. That's something that we're doing. We don't support dirty Moors. And we will not support them. Because they're a disservice to what all this is about if you know that we're Moors. If you know that we're Moors, there's no need to charge people $1,500 and $3,000. Because if it works like that, whoever you put on, they're gonna. You might be a MFer who robs people. You might be an MFer who robs people. But if that package that you rob somebody of really fixes their problem, you could have did it for nothing, and out of the generosity of their heart, they give you $1 million. Or they give you $5 million. Because you helped them like that. Right? Because we have a holy covenant. We're supposed to look out for our brother and all that stuff. These people aren't my brother. We've been telling you that. We've been telling you that these people are robbers. We've been telling you that they're robbers. Moorish World TV focuses on nothing more than slandering black leaders and black organizations in the movement all day, every day, posing as righteous, great exposer, which is the only reason you're still free, as it is by definition COINTELPRO. Now, don't tell me about definitions, black guy, whoever. Oh yeah, let's just find this guy who put this out, because he put his little credentials up there. He's military, whatever, guy or whatever. He put his little story. He put his little story. So he's talking about these people called Moorish World TV, right? They're COINTELPRO because they're going against the black people. And no, you're BS too for talking about that black organizations and black leaders BS. Because we're not black. And this is what Moorish World TV should have been told you people. So you're not confused and think that him being dirty is causing you to be in whatever messed up stuff that you're in as black people. No, it doesn't. Moors have nothing to do with that. We're not black. We're not in you guys' jurisdiction. We're not in your Negro problem jurisdiction. We're out of the Negro problem. So we're not even concerned with what you're doing as a Negro. Right? We're not concerned. Moorish World TV being a fraud that these black whoever's are calling out, right? Being a fraud. Who we've been told you that they're a fraud. They're telling you this right now. We've been told you this years ago that these people are a fraud. We didn't hear what we were saying years ago. Now that chickens come home to roost, now you're starting to talk as if there's some new thing that these guys are a fraud. They've been a fraud. If you're talking about definition his actions define what COINTELPRO is, then let's talk about the definition of black. And why will you put that on yourself knowing that you're not that? And not only that you're not that in logic and reasoning, but you're not that because Drew Ali told you you're not that in the 1920s. How are you saying that you're that today? Who taught you messed up? Who taught you messed up? That you went, give these people finance or whatever. They have a Moorish village. They stole the finance and people aren't hanging from the light pole. But that's how we do with traders. We just let them do their thing. You know what I mean? Known agent. He was supposed to get felony charges and he left with a misdemeanor. And then he's out there saying that he's a Moor and we're the Moorish whatever and has all the pictures up and the stuff and the shirt and the hat and whatever like that. You think, oh wow, 50,000 views. Oh, he had this guy on there, that guy on there. Oh, one time this Canaanland Moor guy got on, but he cussed him out or whatever like that. He told him F him on his own show and all that stuff. But you know, that's just Moors infighting. So that's not, no, I cussed him out on the show because I knew he was a sellout. Why are you gonna play games with these people? Because they got a platform. Because they got a platform, gonna go on there and kiss their ass? No, that's why we have our own platform. We don't need these people's platform for anything. Which is to have our own stuff, which is self-determination, but that's not Moorish, that's something else. All right. You know, see, your conditions still suck as black guys, blaming some dirty Moor for the stuff you're going through when you're going through the stuff you're going through because you want to be Negro black colored. You can't be Negro black colored. That's a fraud. That's a fiction. So don't worry about him going on his little platform and talking about, you know, the black this and the black that and that's a fraud and all that stuff. That he's full of BS. He's a dirty Moor. We know this. We know this. Moors who study know this. And it's a shame you have to go through it because we've been told you that these people are fraud.
Greetings. My name is Hannah Ranu Elm, slave name Joyce Marie Carter. And I'm sharing this video with you today to share what a fraud and what a perpetrator and how Tots Tariq Bey and RV Publication are misleading the masses who are really trying to get out of this matrix. I received my documents back today that I returned to them, and they were not signed for any mail.
That's exactly why it got returned to you. That's exactly why. Because the energy already told them. These are the ancient Sibyls come again. We talk about MHHS and RV Bay Publications and all that. We talk about CalifaMedia.com. We talk about more astrology. We talk about ActiveMoors.com. It's Moorish women leading the charge. Period. And here comes this Moorish trader talking crazy about people who've been putting in work into this. And again, because of where they at, they knew from the envelope that this is somebody's BS. We're going to send it back because look what's going to happen. And look what happened. Right? As soon as when she got the stuff, she went live. Talking about somebody's a fraud because they returned their mail. No, because you're a traitor and a sellout. That's why it got returned. The energy of your damn package, they knew not to accept it. That's how serious this nationality stuff is. You think that this is some joke thing that, you can play around with? You're just going to do it just because. You're not going to do it because you studied and you're competent to stand on your square in any situation that may arise. You want that. You want the quick fix. Right? You want the intravenous. You don't want to chew and swallow and digest and all that stuff. You don't want that. Right? I don't want any BS all the time. That's an elder. No, stop the BS. These people are traitors. Anybody talking crazy about Taj Tariq Bay, anybody talking crazy about RV Bay Publications, we know you're a traitor. We know, without a shadow of a doubt, you're a traitor. We know that. We're not in the dark. And just like we've been telling you about how Moorish World TV and anybody that was repping with that is a fraud, and all these other platforms out here are fraud. We already told you who they are. Just go on Canaanland Moors and go watch. We already called out everybody. It shouldn't be anybody for anybody to go and say, oh, those guys, because you should have been on our stuff to know who all these traitors were, so that when you bump into them, you automatically know, oh, yeah, not them. I'm looking for some Moors to, 1,500? Oh, yeah, you're running over to them when we already told you they're a fraud. Like they say, people have hard ears. Your ear is hard. Your ear is hard. Who don't hear will feel. You don't want to hear? No problem. Been telling you, leave RV Bay Publications alone. Stop. Don't talk crazy about the mothers. If you don't like them, no problem. Don't like them, but shut the hell up. No, you're making videos that you got mail back. Because you have no honor. That's why you got mail back. The whole energy of you filling out some application or whatever was off. As soon as they got it, they didn't have to open it. As soon as they got it, snap, send that back. Then you're mad. Then you're mad. Check yourself. Because it's not them. It's not the righteous Moors that are the problem. Or righteous Moors. Well, I saw the righteous Moor have a sip of a Coca-Cola, so he's an agent. Oh, but the guy who just took 20 grand from you right there and just pocketed it, didn't even show you anything, just took 20 grand from you, pocketed it, and then, so, no, all right, keep playing. You're playing yourself. In the name of Elijah Muhammad, Louis Farrakhan, and the Nation of Islam, by Matthias Gardel. Matthias Gardel. In the name of Elijah Muhammad, Louis Farrakhan, and the Nation of Islam. Noble Drew Ali and the Moorish Gospel. Noble Drew Ali, 1886 to 1929, presented himself as a prophet or an angel of Allah, sent to bring the everlasting gospel of Allah. Born Timothy Drew in North Carolina, he migrated to Newark, New Jersey to work as an expressman. According to legend, he made a pilgrimage to North Africa where he studied with Egyptian Islamic scholars and received permission from the King of Morocco to teach Islam in the African American community. Other legends claim that his father was a Moroccan and his mother a Cherokee, who both were initiated into the modernist Islam Salafi movement of the famous Jamal al-Afghani during the later visits to the United States in the early 1800s. In 1913, Ali resumed the Moorish identity and established the first adept chamber of the Moorish Science Temple of America in Newark. Following the slow but steady growth of his following, new temples were founded in Pittsburgh, Detroit, and some sites in South before 1925. When Noble Drew Ali moved to Chicago and established a headquarters and what later became the largest Moorish chapter. Moorish Science Temple combined the legacy of Marcus Garvey with a notion of Islam as the old-time religion of the black man. Its spokespersons rejected all terms previously used for the African nation in America. This is what all of them know. This is what everybody knows. All the leader whoever's, this is what they know. Noble Drew Ali is not secret to them like it's secret to you. Because everybody came through the chambers of Moorish science presented by Noble Drew Ali. Everybody. Why? Why would that be the case? Because that's the Egyptian adept. And everybody knows Egypt is where you're going to go get all the stuff from. Anybody who has the stuff from there, regardless how it's translated and formed for today, they got it. Check them. Right? It was presented as learning institution for the rejected terms, the terms that nobody likes, but they embrace as their identity. I remember the Moorish Science Temple combined with the legacy of Marcus Garvey. Why would it be combined? Oh, because in Noble Drew Ali's literature, Garvey is called out as being part of this because Drew Ali anointed him. Drew Ali anointed him the forerunner of the Moorish movement. Nobody else called him that. Only Drew Ali called him that. That's where they get this combine the legacy of Marcus Garvey from. It's not combine the legacy. That's the forerunner of the prophet. And every prophet had their forerunner. Every prophet. When they talk about the Moorish Science Temple combined the legacy of Marcus Garvey, they're talking about Noble Drew Ali visiting him in Atlanta prison. That they're never going to tell you about. Why wouldn't they tell you that Marcus Garvey and Drew Ali met each other? They knew each other. Yeah, they don't give any Marcus Garvey no peace be unto him. But they're quick to give Elijah Muhammad and Fard and Farrakhan and all these people honors. They're not going to honor their prophet who taught their master teacher. They're not going to give honors to the prophet who taught their master teacher. They just give honors to their master teacher only. Right? Create their own succession of where what they got came from. They can't separate from the Moors. It's a hardwire connection, combined. The Moorish Science Temple combined. In Act 6 of the Divine Constitution, the prophet instructs his followers that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders. They should now openly declare their true identity as Moorish Americans, descendants of the ancient Moabites, later known as Moroccans. The Moabites were part of the divine Asiatic nation, the original inhabitants of the earth, and progenitors of all non-white nations. This is Matthias Gardel, in the name of Elijah Muhammad, Louis Farrakhan, and Nation of Islam. Letting you know it all, dropping it all on you. You know you missed it. Remember, you see how people look at Muhammad? See how they look at him? Like when you say Muhammad to people who rep Muhammad, you see how their reaction is? It's supposed to be that same reaction for Noble Drew Ali. You know the people who follow Yeshua? And they decided to be his disciples and all that stuff like that. And some of them rep for him. See how they rep for him? Same way they have to be repping for Noble Drew Ali. You see how Hitler had a whole nation of people backing him? And then other natures were down with it, backing him. When you look at Hitler, we're not talking about ovens and all that stuff. We're talking about the ability to put out a message that the world is going to get down on. Right? Look at Drew Ali and give him that same energy. Because we don't have a choice. There's no options for our people. And there's no options because all of them told you BS about Noble Drew Ali. And few people had the guts to say what it is. Few people. Majority of people are going to deal with some religious thing, some Islamic whatever. That's not what this is about. This is about getting our people out of the mental slavery to the solid rock of foundation so they can start building something for them and their heirs. This is about mindset. This is about mindset. This is why he kept making reference, returning to the mind of the ancient foremothers and forefathers. Because we have to go back to the time when we weren't under mental slavery to really get out of it. Remember, this is not Morris talking. This is Matthias Gardel. Right? Because El Bay and all that stuff, that's not somebody proclaimed. So, he might be Moorish, but he ain't Moorish American. In Act 6 of the Divine Constitution, the prophet, right? He didn't play any games with you. Timothy Drew or the guy known as the prophet or Noble Drew Ali with no prophet on it, or no, the prophet. Think he's just saying the prophet to sound cool? You're talking about living manifestation of Allah's love thought. God's thought of love that manifested. And all you have to do is just grab the coattail and you're along for the ride. Just touch a hem of the garment and you're in. C. Freeman said, they miss Noble Drew Ali waiting for Jesus. They miss Noble Drew Ali because they were waiting for Jesus to come back. Remember, it's 1920s we're talking about. 1920s. Remember, even in UNIA and all that stuff, they were singing hymns and all that, so don't get it messed up. That there wasn't some mental slavery going on. Right? So he's telling you, this is what your prophet's saying. Right? But obviously he went and checked for himself. He went and checked for himself. In Act 6 of the Divine Constitution, the prophet instructs his followers that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians. Because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders. They should now openly declare their true identity as Moorish Americans, descendants of the ancient Moabites, later known as Moroccans. The Moabites were part of the divine Asiatic nation, the original inhabitants of the earth, and progenitors of all non-white nations. You're the foundation, Moor. You're the foundation. You are. There's a vast estate that's yours, but your leaders sold you out. So now we're lost in the sauce because we've been going so long without a nationality, thinking that that was cool, thinking that that was the way to go, when we were wrong. Right? Drew Ali laid the way. For all of us. Laid the way. Right? Now look where he's going. The physical part of man was created in the Garden of Eden in the holy city of Mecca in the land of Canaan. Seeking new land, the Moabites migrated into Africa and received permission from the Pharaoh to settle in the northwest, where they founded the great Moroccan Empire. Before long, the Moorish civilization flourished. Prior to the giant earthquake that created the Atlantic Ocean, the dominion of the Moroccan Empire included all of Africa and extended across Atlantis into the present-day North, South, and Central America. As long as the Moors remained faithful to their ancient heritage, Allah blessed them with prosperity. Generations later, the Moors lost their racial consciousness, which ultimately caused their downfall. Quote, through sin and disobedience, every nation has suffered slavery due to the fact that they honored not the creed and principles of their forefathers. That is why the nationality of the Moors was taken away from them in 1774, and the word Negro, black, and colored was given to the Asiatics of America who were of Moorish descent, because they honored not the principles of their mother and father, and strayed after the gods of Europe of whom they knew nothing. So we already know he been studied our literature. We already know he been in our literature. And if this is what he's getting out after going through the Moorish literature, then our people can't say jack, because Matthias came out with something. From studying the Moorish information, he came to a conclusion of this. And his conclusion is sound. There are Moors who talk that we're going to say nah, and be correcting them all through this thing right here, that if they wrote it. You know how much correcting we'll be doing if some Moors wrote this stuff? Right? But in the writing, it seems that, we figured out something. With Drew Ali as the foundation. But the time of suffering is soon to end. The tribulations experienced are but material reflections of a spiritual battle. The original Asiatic man has throughout history been in constant struggle with the devil, who resides in man as his lower self. To assist man, the love of God manifested in flesh in the Moorish prophet Jesus. His crucifixion marks the beginning of the end for the devil. Jesus was then reincarnated in the Prophet Muhammad, who in 1453 succeeded in partially fettering and then decapitating Satan. To complete the cycle of racial redemption, God chose North America to make his headquarters in the West. Noble Drew Ali is Jesus Christ and the Prophet Muhammad reincarnated, and third and final carnal manifestation of Allah, sent to redeem man from their sinful ways and to warn them of the great wrath which is sure to come upon the earth. In 1927, the Moorish Science Temple published the Holy Quran, which is not to be confused with the Holy Quran of the Orthodox Muslims. In 1927, the Moorish Science Temple published the Holy Quran, which is not to be confused with the Holy Quran of the Orthodox Muslims. The Holy Quran of Noble Drew Ali is a pamphlet of 63 pages. The first chapter deals with the creation and fall of man. Man is a thought of Allah, infinite, eternal, and uncreated as his owner. This is the true ontology of spirit man. Man is a seed of Allah, holding in himself the attributes of Allah, with true divine potential. For a seed to grow, the unfold, it must be planted in soil. The same applies to the seed of God. The cosmos is divided into 3 stages of divine emanations with decreasing speeds of vibration: the plane of spirit, the plane of soul, and the plane of things made manifest. Creative faith gave the spirit man a soul and a body of flesh that he may function on all 3 cosmological planes. Man must learn a multitude of lessons on each plane to realize his divine potential. Perfected man must pass. Perfected man must pass through all the ways of life, and so a carnal was full manifest, a nature that sprang forth from fleshy things. Without a foe, a soldier never knows his strength, and thought must be developed by the exercise of strength. And so his carnal nature became a foe that man must fight, and he may be the strength of Allah made manifest. When man has conquered carnal things, his garb of flesh will then have served its purpose well and will fall, will be no more. Emancipated, the soul man has to struggle on the soul plane to complete his victories. Unnumbered foes will seek to destroy him, and these have to be defeated. But now Allah is leading, so there is no doubt of the outcome. The soul coming this far cannot fail. Man, that's for all the Moors out there who are kind of wavery. The soul coming this far cannot fail. If you're here right now, you came a long way to be where you're at right now. Right? You already went through unnumbered foes already. But guess what? Allah's leading. So we don't see little stuff happening and we think that there's some outcome not already established. Because the soul didn't get this far to fold. Right before we get to the hit that opens up everything or whatever like that. Is, oh, that's time. Let me just stretch my back. When man has conquered every foe upon the plane of soul, the seed will have fully opened out, will have unfolded into the holy breath. The garb of soul will then have served its purpose well, and man will need it nevermore. And it will pass to be no more, and man will then attain unto the blessedness of perfection and one with Allah. The student of esoteric Christianity will perhaps recognize the anthropology described above. The introductory chapter of the Holy Quran is taken verbatim from an introductory text of the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ, written by Levi H. Dowling and published in 1907. The only deviation is that the word God has been replaced by Allah. Why? Why? Right? Because the real heir would be an Asiatic, not some Levi Dowling. It's not his stuff. The firstborn always gets taken care of proper. Always. That's just what it is in nature. Firstborn gets the dibs. So Levi Dowling translating and saying God was a fiction messed up the whole thing just by putting God. Or was that divine intervention? Letting him put God to neutralize it so Noble Drew Ali could get it and put Allah and put the right energy on it. And again, that shows the European psychology when people pull for Aquarian gospel as if Levi Dowling has the authority. He doesn't have the authority. He's a modern European. What authority he got? Authority to do what? Well, as far as spiritual works and all that. What authority? They could write some stuff, but they're not an authority. Prophet is an authority. Right? What could have Moors been doing in 1704 to allow these terms to be applied to them? They were not being themselves. They wanted to be Negro, black, and colored. They wanted that. Just like the guy today wants to wear his pants under his ass with a belt on. He wants to do that. I guess. Right. And then pulling the shirt down that only goes to his waist. Then you could just pull the pants up. But then you pull the pants up, then the bottom's going to come up, and then he's going to look like capris all the time. He's wearing capris all day. Moors doing stuff they're not supposed to be doing is why stuff got messed up. And we're talking from ancient to modern times. Moors doing stuff they shouldn't be doing. Why are you doing that for? Right? And again, use the perfect example that we've seen is Django. Django's the perfect example of what were Moors doing in 1774 to allow these terms to be applied to them. Right? The both times, in the beginning and the end, when they showed you no matter what, the mentality of a slave is slavery, and that's all they're going to do. Right? In the beginning of Django, you have the German looking for Django. Right? Django gets free, and they toss the gun to the other slaves or whatever like that. Show them where the North Star was, and they already knew what was up. They were like the dummies in the end with the gate open, and they're just sitting in the cage looking at each other like a dumbass. Right? The first ones did, everybody did what Django did. Threw off their little stuff covering them or whatever like that. Did the strut over the slave master, murder him, take these shoes, and we escaped slavery. Slavery's over. Slavery's over, just like that. Imagine that's how it is to get out of slavery. Oh yeah, just put this shirt on and then change how you walk. And they won't think you're a slave. How are they able to do that? Obviously, there's people who are already walking around. Not some just Europeans alone walking around. Everybody's looking around. And, oh yeah, you're Europeans or whatever like that. This is European spot. No, it's not. What you mean? How? How you think only Europeans are in America? How you figure that? They didn't bump into anybody? They got slaves hanging and all that stuff, and there's people walking around still? How come there's people walking around still? Shouldn't everybody get lynched? Why can't everybody get lynched? What's going on that everybody's not getting lynched? From what they tell you, the free men, that you have sellouts and traders pushing people toward freed man, when those are two different things. A free man and a freed man are two different statuses. One status is dead. Because if you're freed, you could be unfreed. If you're free, that means no one has claim. And there were people that they were making that nigger claim on them and putting them on a tree. Just think about it logically. Why would there only be Europeans walking around and slaves? And that's it in America. Why wouldn't there be some brothers and sisters too? So, according to Ewa S. Dowling, scribe to the messenger, Levi studied etheric vibration and meditated for 40 years before he received his commission from Vissel, the goddess of wisdom or the holy breath, to be the message bearer of the coming age. Oh, so that means it's not his stuff, right? So that means Noble Drew Ali didn't plagiarize Levi Dowling. Noble Drew Ali plagiarized Vissel, the goddess of wisdom, or the holy breath. Hold on a second. Noble Drew Ali is talking about the holy breath. Then why is there an issue? Oh, because holy breath is the goddess of wisdom. Holy breath is mother. Holy breath, oh yeah, since it's not International Women's Day. Since it's not International Women's Day, I just want to give honors to the mothers. Honors to all the women worldwide. The poet and religious historian Robert Graves. Oh yeah, this is Adam was trapped, Eve was framed. Adam was trapped, Eve was framed, by Lita Singer. And Lita Singer. The poet and religious historian Robert Graves put it in these words: the whole of Neolithic Europe had a remarkable homogeneous system of religious ideas based on the mother goddess. The great goddess was regarded as immortal, changeless, and omnipotent. The concept of a father god was unknown in religious thought. Unknown? The concept of a father god was unknown in religious thought. Unknown? Father God's unknown. It's really the mother. So when you draw for Allah, Father of the universe, Father of love, and all that, then you're thinking patriarchy, you already lost. Because if we're going back to the mind of our ancient foremothers and forefathers, then the concept of Father God was unknown. And if it says father, it really means mother. But you can't say mother to a dumb Negro, because then they're going to go and fight you and all that stuff because of their European psychological mind F that they got. In Europe, the great goddess was thought of as the sole omnipotent deity. Fatherhood was not even a part of religious thinking. See what they did to you? See what the patriarchs did? See what the patriarchs did to you? Right? What did the prophet do? Only one to have you in his arms? Call you humanity? Only one. To bring you out of the cares of the world and put you on the solid rock of foundation. Probably want to give him some honors. I'm just saying. In Egypt, she was, quote, the being, eternal and infinite, the creative and ruling power of heaven and earth, and of every creature and everything in them. Mother Goddess, she commands the entire universe. Then I'll tell you that part. Chematologist BS. I'm not going to tell you that part. The pharaohs were feminine and all that. They're not going to tell you all that. They're not tell you Sphinx is feminine and all that. And play games with you. Play his patriarch games with you. Right? In India, it was the great goddess who gave birth to the Vedas, day and night, the seasons, and all the measures of time, death, memory. Root words for motherhood produce many words of calculation, metric, mark, mentality, geometry, trigonometry, so forth. Read that one again. Root words for motherhood produce many words of calculation, metric, mark, mentality, geometry, trigonometry, and so forth. In Africa, it was believed that, quote, in women alone have been given the secrets of the mystery. The patriarchs over there, they're not going to tell you that part. In women alone have been given the secrets of the mystery. No wonder they just want you making twerk videos and stuff like that. No wonder that's all they want. The mother goddess is doing. No wonder. It makes so much sense. If you have two selves, higher self, lower self, you could vibrate on each one. And then you being in your lower self serves them. I'm going to do everything in my power to keep you in your lower self. Why is this stuff hard? Stuff's not hard. It's just not hard. It's real easy. Like I say, niggers don't read. So because they don't read, they don't know. And because they don't know, they suffer. So after 25,000 years, what happened? About 2,800 years or so ago, there was a sex change. The goddess became gods. This is how the patriarchs. This is how the patriarchs do you. This is how the patriarchs do you. Right? This is exactly how you know that it's a patriarch. Watch yourself. Right? Because you don't want a patriarch guy. Right? It has to be honor for motherhood. It has to be honor for that. The goddesses became gods, and the divine mother became the divine father. Male in the strongly patriarchal cultures of Judaism, where father was the Lord, literally, of the household, and women were owned like cattle or land. The Christian cult, as well as Islam, picked up on this theme and declared that all belief in goddesses as pagan and superstition. This is how they want you. Like, this is what they want. They want you to not know yourself. In you not knowing yourself, you're going to be following the patriarchy. Because if you knew yourself, you would realize that the Christian cult, as well as Islam, picked up on this theme of women being owned like cattle and land and declared that all belief in you, woman, is now pagan. That's superstitious. That's women. Male gods, you see, were not pagan and superstition, but female goddesses were. How do you like that for the laugh of the day? In the Old Testament, there is not even a word for goddess. And the Quran reads as follows: only pagans pray to females. Christian writings commanded that the shrines of the goddesses be torn down. Acts 19:27. Paul and the early members of the Christian cult went after the female goddesses with zeal and fanaticism, burning and looting and destroying temples. Paul's word was that of the patriarch. There was no room for goddess or female deities in the developing patriarchal Christian cult. That's how they do. Sibyls, Mama Zogbe. Rome reneges on promise to divine African mother. Meanwhile, as the Roman patriarchs remained busy expanding its empire and consolidating its power, the social, economic, and political climate began to change in Rome. The Roman Church had long removed itself from being simply an apostolic local center of power. It became more concerned with territory and acquiring wealth and with gaining absolute control as an imperial world power. By the 6th century CE, patriarchal Africa, who had acquired much of its political and economic power by usurping the African matriarchs, and later, through military expansion, had lost much of its economic and political predominance in the ancient world. Many of the African temple priests and priestesses, accustomed to expensive gifts, entertaining high dignitaries, and other such luxuries, succumbed to complete corruption. The African clergy began opening the temples only on certain days and charging exorbitant prices for ceremonies and sacrifices, making them accessible only to the elite. An entire crop of foreign impostors, having purchased initiations to acquire economic clout and social status, passed themselves off as authentic Sibyls, Bekides, priests, and diviners, creating fringe cults and bizarre systems of ritual worships, where many of the sacred laws and taboos were being ignored and violated. Your own. If you see some stuff going on and you're about to blame the European, as soon as you start thinking about blaming the European, remember, European learned from your own, who was a sellout. Just keep that in mind. Right? And their duty is to shut her down. Right? Goddess Obscured, Pamela C. Berger. Goddess Obscured. The mother goddess in art, from antiquity to the Middle Ages. Gregory Torr's description of the destruction of images of the earth, mother goddess, Berecynthia is just one of many early Christian writings that reported the defacement or outright smashing of pagan statues in early medieval Gaul. Particularly in rural areas, such images, whether of Ceres, Sibyl, or other pagan gods and goddesses, posed a great threat to ecclesiastical authority. A majority of the hundreds of mother goddess statues uncovered in modern times in the area that made up Gaul and Germania either have their heads struck off or bear other evidence of purposeful disfigurement. Their frequently mutilated condition supplies dramatic evidence of the destruction described by Gregory. Through a principal objective of 4th to 5th century missionaries like St. Martin was to destroy such statues, 19th century church fathers were still inveighing against their worship, an indication of the statue's lingering presence. During the era of conversion from the 4th through the 8th centuries, some rural pagans no doubt hid their statues, perhaps even buried them. Legends concerning the findings of statues of stately females immediately christened the Virgin abound throughout Europe. The sites of the discoveries have been what archaeologists now know to be ancient mother goddess shrines. The legends explain the discoveries of the statues as part of a divine plan to render certain sites sacred and worthy of ecclesiastical notice. Some of the legends even reflect attempts to retain the old sacred figures by rededicating them with a new appellation. It's real. It's so real. Children of the Mother Goddess History by Vasilios Fanos. Another interesting myth whose traces we find in the study of James Fraser concern Virbius, aka Hippolytus, and Diana. The myth narrative, the legend of Virbius, a young hunter who spent his life in the woods hunting wild beasts, having only his companion, the virgin huntress Artemis. Proud of that divine companion, he disdained women, and this was his undoing. Aphrodite, offended by his indifference, made his stepmother, Phaedra, fall in love with him, and when the youth rejected the offers of other women, she falsely accused him before his father Theseus, who believed Phaedra's lies. Theseus then turned to his father Poseidon to avenge the imagery affront. Virbius, while driving his chariot along the Sargonic Gulf, was attacked by a ferocious bull, which emerged from the waters sent by the sea god. We briefly recall Hittite diviners, divinities, Hepatu and Teshub, or the goddess Ma and her sonmate, the god of storms, venerated in Cappadocia and then in Italy, brought by the Romans, to whom the city of Ma or Mamed was dedicated, traces of which can still be found today in Italian folklore. Everyone knows to honor the Mother Goddess. Everyone knows to honor the Mother Goddess. It's natural. It's supposed to be that natural, that she gets her honors always. Because without her, there's no us. Don't forget, check the RV Bay Publications homepage for information relative to Wednesday night sessions with Rosmariah V-Bay. Also, MHHS, Eyes Wide Open, and Sons of Allah. Oh, and Sisters Standing on Law. So just check the homepage. Keep in mind, honors to the Prophet Noble Juali. Honors to all Moors worldwide. And honors to all mothers. Honors to the Moorish matriarchs. Peace and love to all the Moors worldwide. Islam.